Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. There are so many ways these folks can help protect your home, and not just the pest stuff. Maybe you need crawl space encapsulation. Maybe you just need to replace some of the old nasty insulation that's come loose. Maybe it's just to check whether or not your crawl space vents should be open right now or closed right now, and which way they're turned at the moment. They can do all that. Southeast Termite and Pest Control has been taking care of my home for many, many years. I trust them completely. You should too. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. All right, let's welcome in the next two members of our panel right here. Former Virginia Tech player, former Virginia Tech defensive coordinator, longtime Vol fan, Justin Hamilton. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, John.
Longtime member of this panel right here, former UT walk-on, and as he always points out, walk-off, Bob Hodge.
Oh, you get it wrong. I ran off.
Ran off. Bob Hodge back with us 20 years. Thanks for sitting there.
I was there as long as a lot of the guys are now.
That's right. You simply identified the portal and opened it for everybody else. All right. No surprise this week when Josh Heupel quickly named quarterback coach Joey Halzle to replace last year's offensive coordinator Alex Golesh. Halzle received nearly a $500,000 bump in salary, up to about $850,000 as well. The plan is for Heupel to call plays and eventually work it and hand it over to Halzle, which is basically what they did with Golesh. We talked about that the first year Heupel was here. We all thought Heupel was calling the plays, and then you look on the UT media bio online for Alex Golesh, and suddenly it pops up, yeah, he called some of the plays last year. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from? So it's probably going to be a bit of a teamwork effort going into it. The trick is that, unlike Alex Golesh, Halzle has a long history with Josh Heupel. They've been together since Oklahoma, so 5 different stops they've been together. Bob, I'm going to ask you, because right now I know the other side of this argument is easy. Heupel's offense is always top 5 in the country. You saw it click just perfectly in the Orange Bowl, 31 points against a good defense. Nothing to worry about at all. You're Mr. Negative. Is there a reason to worry?
I think you've got lots of reasons to worry. Start with communication during the ball game. Even though he's been with Heupel for a long time, probably wouldn't be an issue, but it could be, because you had something here for 2 years at Tennessee that obviously was working. It was working really well. Then throw in, you've gone from Hendon Hooker. I mean, Joe Milton played fine, obviously, in the Orange Bowl, won the Most Valuable Player trophy. But if you had Hendon Hooker coming back again,
right,
I would say, okay, it is no problem. But you're changing your quarterback, you're changing your offensive coordinator. So do you have communication issues? How does all that stuff work out? Now, I think it will be minimal. But when you change coaches, there's always going to be differences between those guys. So just wait and see before you just check it off and say, nope, let's move on to something else.
Justin?
Literally been in this exact same situation. I was promoted from within to go from safeties coach to defensive coordinator, and I was replacing Bud Foster, who, if you're a Virginia Tech fan, is a living legend.
Right.
And the issues that you run into, the first time you give up a first down, it's like, oh, this guy's not ready to do the job. He can't handle it. Same. If you don't score 60, then people are going to say, what's the issue? And it's just, to me, I agree with you, Bob, replacing your quarterback, such a good quarterback, but it's massive shoes to fill because of what your offense did. I think it's a good call to promote a guy from within, but I also think that it's big shoes to fill because fans expect a lot of points and a lot of yards from their offense.
I don't think the issue is as much the transfer from Halzle and Golesh. I think it's the quarterback's decision-making. And, Justin, you touched on it. With Hendon Hooker, I mean, he's one of the best players in the country, right? Should have been in New York. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to Joe Milton. Milton played fine against Clemson. And that was a better defense than Tennessee's played for most of the year. But they also had 5 3-and-outs. You didn't see much of that with Hendon Hooker. So I think Halzle and it is Josh Heupel's offense. I think they'll be fine with play calling. But so much of the play calling gets back to the decision-making of the quarterback. He's got to make the right read. He's got to make the right throw. He's got to be on the same page with the receivers. That's where I think Milton plays a bigger role in this than the play calling.
And I would just say my concern level is going to be low because it is Josh Heupel at the helm. Yeah. I think the transition to whatever kind of expanded role Joey Halzle will have with play calling, I think that'll be pretty natural for him with what the offense has been, how long he's been a part of it. So my bigger concern would probably be still personnel, and that's not incredibly high, but it's because Hendon Hooker set the bar at such a high level. So questions that have to be answered with the coaching change, but my concern level with that is pretty low. It's the transition that makes the most sense, I think, with Halsley taking the OC role.
Agreed. I would just say this: whenever there is a change, when things have been going good and there is a change, my antenna go up. That's just okay.
Well,
let's see, because
see,
there is a change. I mean, I'm a businessman, so I'm always looking for the next. All right, what are the 55 things that could go wrong, so I can be prepared? But if I'm watching a team that's changing, I don't know. Does the pressure change Joey Halsley at all? It's a little bit of a different move. There's nowhere for this offense to go but down this year. You were number one. The odds of being number one, so let's say you're number two next year.
Right.
Well, that means you're not as good as you were this year. So you're going to be compared, and you're breaking in the new quarterback. Do you take care of the football the way you did? I don't think the problem is going to be Joey Halsley at all. But I do think there are going to be a lot of people watching him. I think Randy Sanders got a raw deal around here for a long time because people love David Cutcliffe. I'm guessing you probably got a raw deal because you followed Bud Foster. I think that there's a lot of situations where when the other guy leaves on his own under a good situation, he's viewed through this mist of glory. He's this greatness. And whereas if a guy gets fired, you're not sitting there saying, boy, this new guy's not as good as the old guy. Golish left on his own. He left at the right. You couldn't leave at a better time unless you made the playoffs.
Right.
So I just think that's a little bit of a tough situation to step into.
I was just going to say, if you look at coaching staffs, Nick Saban, look how many coaches he has churned through at Alabama. Most of the guys that have came in have left to better situations. So I think if you're sitting here looking at this from the standpoint of churning coach, remember how Johnny Majors went through coaches at one time? I mean, it was just constant churning.
It was one of the things that Fulmer, when he stepped in, said, we're not going to do that.
Right.
And they didn't have much turnover at all. Yeah.
I've always thought when you lose a coach and he goes to a better situation, which going to head coach is a great thing. And I just think to come bring it all back around, this is so much Josh Heupel's offense, even though there are concerns about going to Milton, going to a new play caller, changing your offensive coordinator. It's almost like the Nick Saban thing to me, and I don't think I'm comparing him to Nick Saban.
Right.
But this is his offense. So I think it's going to be less of an impact, say, if it was Jeremy Pruitt bringing in a new offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Who would have had a red nose and big clown shoes. That was a very
Did you have something to
confusing-
say?
I
It's
did.
gotta be quick.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just when you mentioned that promotion, you mentioned that pay bump. You're getting paid not to call plays, not to help the quarterback make decisions. You're getting paid for what comes with that job and handling all the outside noise and handling all of that, which he's very much capable to do, but that's why you get that bump in pay.
Joey Halsley never got second guessed on Sports Talk from 3 to 7. He will now. They'll have callers. Well, actually, it'll be you. You'll be second. But these guys, he's now going to be questioned in ways he went. We went way over, so I don't have time to talk about the tight end slot. Tight end position is still open. There's a campaign. I must have had 3 people text me with the name Jeff Ferris, who played at Catholic High School. He then played at Duke. He coached under David Cutcliffe at Duke. He's now at UCLA under Chip Kelly, where he's co-recruiting coordinator. Kelly's got the up-tempo system. Okay, all this seems to fit. I don't care that he's local. That to me isn't a draw. Get the best resume. His resume sounds good. If it's him, great. If it's not him, and we don't have time to chat about it, I'm sorry. But if it's not him, I would just say to the people out there who are going to say, who's this guy? Unless they hire Josh.
Well, there's a up-and-coming coach, Brian Niedermeyer,
Yeah.
with recruiting ties.
unless they go get Brian Niedermeyer, fans here need to give this Heupel the benefit of the doubt. I mean, no one was thrilled with the Heupel hire when they made it. Everyone was saying, well, this staff, they don't have a lot of SEC experience. Worked out pretty good. So if the tight end coach has Knoxville ties and it's Jeff Barrett, great. If it's a former Vol, great. If it's some guy that coached at Alaska Anchorage at this point, I'm trusting Josh Heupel. So, all right, when we come back, we'll talk about the Vols roster, who's staying, who's going, and who may be haggling. We'll talk about that next.